Hi, my name is Joy Burris, and we want to welcome you to these pre-recorded trainings. Today, we are going to be doing the Project SEARCH Curricula.
Hi, my name's Susie Rakowski, and we're really excited about this pre-recorded training. The Project SEARCH Curricula, we are going to present at least 4 different curriculas that we have for you to choose from for your interns. So enjoy the ride.
Here we go. So our first curricula, and we believe our most important, is the employability skills curriculum. And you can see that there are 9 units going over what we believe are very important topics for you to cover with your interns. So you can see that there are a different number of objectives in each of the units and a number of lessons for each of those objectives. So you can read down through those units, and we will be referencing them as we go along in our training today.
So in 2020, we got together 25 experienced Project SEARCH instructors across the US and the UK. And we worked together with our national staff and several OT doc students to create this employability skills curriculum for you. As Joy said, we thought about what are all the employability skills that interns need to know to enter the workforce successfully. And we used those parameters to create this curricula for you. It has, again, 9 units, lots of lessons, and even more activities. And we'll get deeper into that in a minute. The other thing to know about this curricula is that it was refreshed in 2024. So it will seem fairly new to you, even if you're an older instructor and have been with us for a while. In 2024, we refreshed all the YouTube links. We cut down some of the activities, and we actually shaved quite a bit from the curriculum because we were getting some feedback that it was just too long. So we wanted you to kind of have that background of what we did. We really went internal and talked to just our staff and our instructors to make sure that we were meeting the needs of our Project SEARCH interns and our Project SEARCH partners.
Right. So the who, what, when, where, why. This is the employability skills curriculum. It is for the instructors because they have the overall responsibility of delivering the curriculum, but don't leave out your skills instructor and guest speakers. Guest speakers and skills trainers can really be a great asset to delivering certain topics of the curricula. We really want you to use all the resources that you have. And one example that's kind of an easy one, many of you are in hospital programs. I could do a lesson on hand washing, so could Susie, you could. But think about if you had somebody from infection control come to you, to your classroom, and deliver that training to your interns. It really might mean a lot more. The interns would hear it kind of with a different ear, and it may be a little bit better for you to do that.
Great idea.
So typically you're going to do these daily. You're going to front load those during the weeks of orientation and then during the transition weeks. We say daily because a typical Project SEARCH classroom has time at the beginning of the day. The site will have that classroom training time at the beginning of the day for about an hour, and then come back at the end of the day for about a half an hour. We realize that some of your schedules are a little different than that, but we really want you to do a curriculum, just visit those important lessons daily. Where is it? We're going to show you exactly where it is. It is in our member portal under the curriculum card. And what color is that card, Susie?
It's teal because it's my favorite color.
And then why? Because we believe this is a practical application of the Project SEARCH model in lessons, fun and very differing lessons.
So here it is. Here's how you get to it. you get into the member portal. Hopefully you're in the member portal a lot. And as you know, when you open it up, you see these Monopoly cards, and you're going to go to the teal card. And when you open it, you're going to see all of these folders. And what we've just been talking about is in the first folder. We're going to hit each of these folders as we go through. So if you open the employability skills curriculum, then you'll see the 9 units, and you can download them in their entirety as a whole unit. And then the very last document is called the Project Search Employability Skills Curriculum Scope and Sequence. That is a mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
However, we want you to look at this document, and really what it is a very precise table of contents. It goes through every single unit, it goes through every single lesson, and just lists the activities. It doesn't go into their description or anything like that. And it also doesn't go into the glossary or some of the other things. But it does help you decide which of these activities that you're going to present to your interns as opposed to some of the other ones. We tried really hard to diversify the activities. Some are active, some are scenarios, some are manipulatives, some are maybe just a discussion, others might be kind of a worksheet. And so there's a little bit of everything depending on the needs and the skill level and just the preferences of your intern.
So for you to make a good decision about what lessons to use, we want you to think about your intern cohort. I used to teach 2nd grade, and all of my classes, I had 11 years of teaching, and each of those classes had a different personality. So as you are looking at your cohort, you know that they're going to have different strengths, weaknesses, and you have to combine that with the host business. What host business are you in? So let's say we'll use it again, use the hospital again. So if you're in a hospital that's been around for a long time, part of the building could be 50 to 100 years old, and then there could be several buildings attached to that original building. Well, locating places on a map is going to be really important to your interns because of your host business. And that's going to be what you're going to spend a lot of time on during your orientation period, wayfinding. And if you have a map and the interns can start with that and then actually go out on the floors and just find the elevators that go here, there, and everywhere. Because many times we tour a lot of hospitals, and sometimes you can get to the basement on one elevator, but a different basement on another elevator. So it gets confusing. So locating places on a map might be a good choice for those programs that are in hospitals.
Or lots of places that are
Yes.
a mix of old and new.
Yes.
So again, here's just a picture of a fun Project Search team. Look at how different they are. But to meet all of their needs, you're going to want to use activities that have different learning modalities and learning styles to meet the needs of your wonderful interns. So let's look at a lesson and let's look at a unit.
So this is an example of Unit 5. This is what the cover pages are going to look like. Each cover page will have the name of the unit, a table of contents for that unit, and a unique icon for that unit, kind of showing what that unit is about. One thing that we want to let you know is that the hyperlinks in the table of contents will take you to that exact lesson. So you don't have to scroll through, but you can just click on it. So if I want to do a lesson on chain of command, I could just click on chain of command and it would scroll right to the beginning of the chain of command part. So hopefully that's helpful to you when you're looking at the document.
Yes, and remember that each of those lessons could easily be 20 pages. So you don't want to have to scroll through every one to get to where you want to go. Those hyperlinks are really, really helpful. All right. So let's just think about all the pieces of the different lesson plans. If you have followed us along and have actually opened a lesson plan, this will make a lot of sense. So it's divided into kind of 2 parts. One is the pre-planning part. What are you going to do to get ready to teach that lesson? And then the lesson itself. So in pre-planning, it will tell you a possible implementation time frame. So again, maybe during orientation, those first 3 weeks of the year, maybe during a transition week. Maybe it might say third internship. We think you should wait till the end of the year, or first internship. Those are just guidelines. They aren't made in stone. They're really, again, up to you. The next is a lesson plan summary, and it's very short, but it is nice because you can do a couple things with that lesson plan summary. First of all, it gives you ideas about what the lesson is about, but it also gives your host business, maybe your business liaison, maybe the departments, maybe even your families. You could just send them that little summary at the beginning of when you're going to start that lesson, and then they'll know what you're working on and can have a context in order to reinforce it in the managers and with the managers and mentors, or reinforce it with your families at home. Then there's a section about evaluation. How are you assessing their skills? Are they learning the things that the lesson is presenting? And even better, how do you check for understanding with the interns? Next is just the lesson plan itself. So every lesson plan has at least 4 activities. Most of them have somewhere between like 5 and 8 activities. The first thing that there is glossary. And we felt as a team that it's very important for your students to learn the adult words for everything that you're talking about. It's not fair to dumb a lesson down just because you think they might not know those words. So take a few minutes to teach the glossary. You can use games like apples to apples or something like that, or you can just present the glossary and talk about meanings. Then there's a quick introductory activity and then the regular activities. And again, each one will have approximately 5-ish activities. At the very end are what we call extension activities, critical thinking questions, and critical thinking activities that will allow you to go deeper into that subject. So don't ignore those. Those are oftentimes lots of fun.
And one of the things that we haven't said yet is the activities are anywhere from about 20 minutes to 45 minutes long. So there is a great varying, and on the scope and sequence document, it does give you an estimate of time of how long each of those will take. So that will help you. That scope and sequence document is really key to understanding the curriculum.
And of course, if you have a bigger class, it's going to take you longer. And you'll know that after you've been with your interns a little while. So back to that unit 5. So when you open each unit, you're going to see these 2 icons. One's a folder, one's a PDF. The PDF is just that whole unit with the lessons, the glossary, all of the things we just talked about. The folder has all your resources for that unit inside. It might have a document. It might have some kind of activity, a Word document activity. It might have a PowerPoint. So just depending on what has been created in that unit, everything that you need resource-wise will be in there. The only thing that you won't have is if you need certain kinds of manipulatives to do certain activities. So for instance, in team building, there was an activity where you build a tower of cups with solo cups. You're going to have to purchase those cups. But everything else is there for you within those 2 documents. All right. We're to the fun part.
Yeah. So after, well, not after, but in addition to the employability skills curriculum, Fifth Third Bank has given us the access to EverFi, which is an online digital course, so to speak, that is really, it's really fun. It's teaches a lot of basic skills. It can be used if you want to teach your interns about anything about money. It really does a great job, even managing credit and debit, and knowing the difference between those cards. So insurance, another really, really great topic having to do with money that you might want to share with your interns. So EverFi, again, thank you to Fifth Third Bank for providing that for us. And that is in lesson,
it's in the financial literacy unit.
6,
I think so. And it will help you It'll tell you exactly how to set up your account.
Yes.
And then you can just walk you through that process, and obviously everything's free for you to use from EverFi.
So remember, thank you to Fifth Third Bank. It is the financial literacy unit, and it'll give you all the instructions that you need to log in.
All right. Our next curriculum that we want to make sure you're aware of is called Building Healthy Relationships at Work. It will be the second folder under the curriculum tab. Why is this so important? We all realize that our interns, this is sometimes where they struggle with just relationships as a whole. And now we're trying to kind of throw on top of that what kinds of relationships are appropriate at work. This curriculum was created by a woman named Catherine McLaughlin. She is amazing. She owns her company called Elevate Us and provides training all over the country, sometimes in person and sometimes online. If you ever get a chance to go to one of her training sessions, please do. She's absolutely amazing. However, when we went to her training, we really felt like the training that she was giving was too general, just about relationships. We really wanted something about relationships in the workplace. And so we contracted with her, and thanks to Mitsubishi Electric America Foundation for sponsoring that, she created a curriculum for us. And we were able to create this 12-lesson curriculum. It's really great. And again, it takes the interns through everything from just basic relationships all the way to she even has a lesson called friend to sweetheart. So we'll look at that in a little bit more detail.
So Catherine's curriculum is excellent. It really gives you the details that you need for this topic. Sometimes the topic is a little bit sensitive, so we want you to use these as you feel comfortable, or invite someone else into the classroom that would be qualified to do one of the lessons. But what's so neat about her lesson plans is that they're very detailed. In fact, it even tells you what to say. It says do, it says say. So it will give you a script, and even if you don't actually use the script, if you read through the script, it will help you understand what you're teaching a little bit better, and just be able to kind of have a good workflow as you go through. But it gives you everything that you need. And what I love about her, well, she's the best presenter, but another thing that I love about her materials is she will give you pre-tests and post-tests that you can use with your interns. She will give you PowerPoint templates. This is just an example of a lesson out of this particular curricula. So it's great. She's great. And
we suggest that you do this in the beginning of the year to kind of set the stage for how they enter their internships and create relationships and friendships, and kind of move through the internships. And you can always revisit some of the lessons if you feel like your students kind of need that reminder.
All right.
She did such a great job on her Building Healthy Relationships that we asked her to create another curriculum on diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Why is this so important? Not so much that our students how to act and knowing that they're diverse. Of course, they already know that, but really it's how can they be successful in a diverse environment? How can they be respectful? How can they be inclusive? How can they react in a positive manner to all the different people that they're going to meet in their internships and eventually their workplace? It's smaller than Building Healthy Relationships. It's 6 lessons instead of 12, but they're laid out very similarly. And it's something that we feel, again, that would be appropriate to teach anytime, but at least before the end of the year when they're going out into that final job.
All right, Health Matters. Talk a little bit about the history of Health Matters.
So, gosh, it's been a long time, but probably 15 or so years ago, a few people in Illinois developed this curriculum called Health Matters. And we started working with them and promoting many of their lessons and activities for our young people. So when we wrote the employability skills curriculum in 2020, we actually added many of their lessons into Unit 7 Health and Wellness because they were just so exceptional. Can you order Health Matters books separately? Yes, of course you can. You can get it off Amazon, but you can also just use our Unit 7 to work in many of the activities that they address. One of the things that they address is stamina. We know right from the get-go that many of our students are going to struggle with stamina when they begin Project Search and begin going out into their internships and start to work 4 and 5 hours a day. So this already addresses this. You can start from the beginning of your year just working on health that matters.
Yes. Infuse some of these lessons into your time with the interns, because really, especially that stamina part is so important. And we know that the healthier we are, the better we do in life in general. So this is a great offering that has been given to us.
All right, this is, again, one of our favorites. We took the same curriculum team and thought about what are the skills that we want our Project Search interns to come to us with. What would be the kind of ideal candidate that walks into Project Search as they get ready to learn to go to work? So we also know that schools sometimes struggle with what to teach young people to get ready for work. So this is actually presented as something that you can give to your sending schools, to your home districts, to any of your partners that are going to help you prepare young people for the world of work and for Project Search. It's about half the size of our employability skills curriculum. It has about 40 lessons as opposed to 80. And they're just kind of shorter in general. We don't want to burden any high school teacher with lots more, but we want to give them this opportunity to work on these kinds of skills. And you can kind of see right there what those units are. And many of them are the same units, names as our employability skills curriculum, and some are different. So for instance, daily living skills is different. We don't touch daily living skills in our employability skills curriculum, but it is presented here. We do have financial literacy in our employability skills, but here it's functional math. We have heard from some of our Project Search instructors that they use some of these lessons, which is also great. You're welcome to look through here and find some things that you might want to work with your interns on, or again, give it away. You can send them the link, or you can just send them the document from the member portal.
Remember that these lessons can be used in any type of like transition program before they come to Project Search. Some of my teams even use them during the summer to kind of prep the interns if they have some type of boot camp during the summer where they're keeping the interns engaged and getting them ready for the Project Search year. So it's a great tool to be used for many different uses, and we really want you to share that with others. So next, we have some great feedback from our curriculum team. We just had one session when we were working with this team, and we just brainstormed tips and ideas. And so these are some of the tips that they gave us, and we're going to present them to you now.
So we know that all of you on a regular Project Search day, not a transition week or orientation, that you typically have about 90 minutes of curriculum time. We know that the day is divided into curriculum time in the morning, about typically an hour, and then 4.5 hours on their internship, and then short kind of reflection teaching time at the end of the day that's typically about 30 minutes, sometimes a little longer. So at the most, you have this 90-minute times of curriculum that you can present. So consider breaking that time up into either like little 15-minute times or 30 minutes or a 45-minute chunk for different activities. Joy mentioned that the scope and sequence document talks to you about the typical time that we think it might take to do that lesson. So you can use that as a guide. Knowing that you have 90 minutes, what might that 90 minutes look like? So here in the gold is an example.
So for instance, a quick review of hand washing might take you 10 minutes, and then you could follow that by a technical topic for about 40 minutes. And then a team building activity for about 10 minutes for the first hour of your morning curriculum. And then in the afternoon, you could have some reflection time dedicated to a social communication objective. So a lot of our programs will use that 30 minutes at the end of the day for journaling and reflection about the day and how it went and how to use what you learned during that day, whether it was good or bad, for the next day. So those are some just examples to give you on how to spend that time.
So the other things that a lot of our teachers do, which is I think clever, is kind of a weekly approach to the unit. So maybe every Monday is Communication Monday, or you could call it Talking Tuesday, or some people do Technology Tuesdays, Wellness Wednesday, Financial Fridays. So that way, a lot of your students kind of know what's coming. All of us like a schedule, so that kind of creates a schedule for the interns.
And I know some of you are trying to figure out a Thursday.
It has to be thrilling, though.
A thrilling Thursday. So think about that. All right, check those video links. As you are going through the curriculum, it's been a little while since we've touched it. If you come across a link that is not working, please let us know. You can email Project Search at cchmc.org, or if you know one of our emails, you can email us to let us know that the link is not working. If you found the link that's not working and you found a great link to replace it, include that. We would be very grateful for that. And one more thing that I want to say about those links is always preview your material before you show it to your interns. We have done our due diligence in looking through the links, but we know that somebody could change the link on the end and it could have a different video associated with it. And we wouldn't want to put you in any compromising situation. So please make sure that you're actually going all the way through those videos before you show those. Susie had a really good point earlier too. Try to get through those commercials at the beginning, because sometimes those commercials can be odd or embarrassing, or something that you've looked at before. So make sure that you're kind of zipping through the commercials at the beginning.
Yep, absolutely.
And then give yourself permission to use the curriculum the way it works for you. We are not trying to jam this stuff down your throat. We want you to use it for the enrichment of your interns. We want you to be comfortable with using it. We know that different areas of the country have different approaches, and we want to really respect that. So make sure that you're using the curriculum in the way that is best for your interns in your area. All right.
So just another couple of ways to think about, we talked about how a day might look like, with a 45-minute lesson and then a 15-minute lesson and then a 10-minute chunk of something else. But think about, there are some times during the year where you have a lot of time. So those first 3 weeks of orientation and those 2 transition weeks. So there's 5 weeks that you have a lot of time where you could do a deeper dive into those units. I would always suggest that you do team building at the very first orientation and get your cohort working together in a very positive way. You might also want to do health and safety, especially if you're in a hospital or a manufacturing environment where safety's key.
Mm-hmm.
You might start that Technology Tuesday or Finance Friday or something like that. You might start that then, but give yourself some time to go deeper into those units when you do have that span of time.
All right. And then take a deeper dive during the year after you present the basics during orientation. If you present a few things at the beginning, you might want to represent them and go deeper, because your interns are going to mature so much through the year that we really want you to take that into account as you're doing the lessons.
And something might come up over time that maybe didn't come up the first 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it's hitting you, that you might need to revisit something, and you might revisit something outside of the employability skills curriculum, like building healthy relationships or health matters. Especially if you notice something, maybe mental health or something like that, challenges with your interns that you can address at any time that seems appropriate.
Yes, so we want to thank you for joining us today. If you have any if you have any questions, contact your program specialist. This is a list of our names, and you can find out more information about us in the member portal. If you're not in the member portal, remember Project Search projectsearch@cchmc.org is a general email box, and it will get to us. But you can find our names in the member portal tab. You can see Carly's picture down there, and it will give her email address and a phone number to be able to reach her at. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions or concerns. We are here for you. That is our job, and it's our pleasure to serve you.
And just remember too that we are all the program specialists, so Joy and I here. But for instance, if you want to email us, we all have the same configuration of our email. It's our first name dot our last name at cchmc.org. So if you think about Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, that's how we get that last bit. And we are happy to talk to you about curriculum or really anything that has to do with your program. Great, good luck.
Yes, thank you for joining us. This was our pleasure to give you the curricula offerings that we have, and we really thank you for joining us.
Bye.